evening. Welcome to the New York City School Board monthly meeting, November the 20th, 6:34 p.m. Mr. Valadares, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Blind.
Here.
Mr. Blowers.
Here.
Ms. Nagin.
Here.
Mr. Weber. Here. Mr. Carl.
Here. And Mr. Weber will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, then our no resolutions or recognitions that I know of. Thank you, sir. I'm supposed to hit myself with that. Is it? Special reports. We have had the state Ohio School Board Association meeting this past week. Mike Blowers was there, and he'd like to share a little bit of reflecting from that time.
Thank you. Okay. The purpose of the Ohio State School Boards Association legislative platform is to state publicly the OSBA's position on a variety of issues facing public education. And the platform conveys to our legislators, our policymakers, and the public in general, and the media, where the OSBA stands. The platform guides our OSBA's advocacy efforts, and New York City School Board is a member of the OSBA. Each item in the platform has been approved by at least 75% of the voting delegates in the OSBA Delegate Assembly, where every board member has a vote. On students and learning, the education of Ohio's public schools students and OSBA is OSBA's top priority. Every child can learn, and every child will learn if conditions are right. The key component to establishing the right educational environment is the relationship among students, parents, the school district, and the community. Each of these needs to be accountable for sharing in the process. Ohio School Board Association believes that all students must have equal access to high-quality education that prepares them for higher education or career entry. Every student must be provided with challenging instructional programs presented by competent and caring teachers in a safe and supportive setting. I'm going just to highlight a few of the legislative stands that OSB has voted on this week. It will take me about 2 minutes. So, the Ohio School Board Association supports legislation. And remember, we're not setting legislation, we're supporting this, and we lobby our legislators on these issues. So the OSBA supports legislation that furthers the ability of educators to maintain control of their classrooms, buildings, facilities, and other school property, and offers appropriate discipline measures as determined by locally developed board-approved policy and or district procedures. Now, a lot of this it just gives you an idea of where the OSB stands on some things. Next would be OSBA supports legislation that provides the necessary revenues to support an adequate and equitable system of funding public schools in Ohio and to permit them to offer a high-quality educational program to every student. We support legislation that provides an increase in state revenues either through the enactment of an increase in the state sales tax or the state personal income tax and or the commercial activities tax. Now, and finally, separately, the OSBA supports legislation that separately appropriates all lottery and casino money, profits, funding to be allocated to the districts on a per pupil basis. OSBA supports legislation that enhances the homestead exemption program to provide additional financial assistance for senior citizens. OSBA supports legislation that provides sufficient funding for every child who rides a school bus. And it goes on down through multiple things here. But the one thing that we voted on was the OSBA supports legislation that limits the requirement for public school districts to provide transportation to only those days that are in sync with the public school district adopted calendar. Also fully funds districts for the cost of transportation of special education students and foster children and homeless students who receive transportation accommodations. Okay, one change they made here was they support legislation that makes a state appropriation to replace all buses that are no longer 10 years old, but 8 years old and do not have the latest safety features. And that was just okay. Okay, so that's just some of the legislation that we had, or some of the platform issues that we had addressed, and there are many more in here. So you can get this online and you can look at it. It was a very good assembly, and I felt very privileged to be a delegate of this school board to represent the school district in that setting. So with that, I thank you for the time to give that report.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Any questions for him? All right, appreciate that. Time for communication from the floor. A public meeting on the issue of the employment of Douglas Shute by the Newark City School District Board of Education. Members of the public are invited to provide input to the board on the issue of Douglas Shute's reemployment in the district following his retirement. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes, and all public comments will be closed after 30 minutes. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board on that or any other related issues? Well, seeing none, we will move on to Treasurer's recommendations, please.
Yes, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items on this agenda. Letter A is the approval of minutes, Board of Education meeting of October 16, 2017. Letter B is the approval of the October 2017 financial statements and payments to vendors. Letter C is the approval of fiscal year 18 supplemental permanent appropriation resolutions. Letter D is the approval to pay invoices for various vendors. Letter E is the approval of agreement with Strategic Management Solutions. This is the company who does our E-rate reimbursement forms for the district, both for Category 1 reimbursement and Category 2. So you'll see the number 1 is the agreement for the to provide the services, and the number 2 is to provide the services for Category 2. Any questions?
No? Need a motion?
We accept.
Pardon?
I will move we accept.
Tom, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Warren, thank you. Mr. Valadez, will you call the roll?
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nickman?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Superintendent's recommendation.
Okay, under personnel, under item 1, we have resignation of employees. I appreciate the effort of the 5 individuals. We have 1 leave of absence for Brenda Miller. Appointments and assignments, also supplemental contracts, and I appreciate the board, Barbara, Denise, and the gang working on these. For November, it's a short list. I would tell you we're Under item 5, very welcome back, very happy to see Mike Wigglesworth back with us in the middle school and serving in middle school vocal music at Wilson. Item 6 is tutors, 7 is substitutes, and that's item A. Item B, students in curriculum, special education contracts for foster place or some are open enrollment students on there with other districts. Memorandum of understanding with Licking County Department of Job and Family Services. Recommended to approve an agreement with Licking County Job and Services for services shown in the appendix, which is for our after-school program at the high school. So that is grant funded for Lord. Thank you. And under item C, gifts. We certainly always appreciate the gifts, so we have a monetary gift of $5,000 to Heritage Middle School. We also, from State Farm, we have $500 to the athletic department. Eagles 3-7, Memorial Head Charity, $1,000 to the hearing and speech department. Under business, there's an agreement shown in the appendix with Meta, which is a purchasing cooperative. So item 2, renewal of insurance, property and fleet, Andrews Insurance Association, which is we've been with for a while. Item 3 begins the bus garage. And we're moving right along at the bus garage. So we're getting ready to do some contracts to rebuild. So the cleaning at this time is pretty much done with what they're going to clean. And so now we want to enter in a contract and approve JBA with our architects, design services related to bus garage, and all of us know that we've used JBA, those folks in the past right here in Newark, so we appreciate what they do. Approve contracts for remedial work at the bus garage. Recommend the Board of Education authorize approval for remedial work at the bus garage based upon urgent necessity, exception to competitive building as shown in the appendix. When we say that, that doesn't mean we're going to remove ourselves from a competitive bid situation. It's just a different procedure where we want to go out and get a minimum of 3 bids. So it's a competitive situation. But it's with the time frame and that, it's just urgent necessity that we move forward with that. And so we'll be back sharing some progress with the board. Approve temporary sponsorship with the Newark Digital Academy. I want to make one change here that I got an email late in the day. This says for 2017-18. It's recommended today that we go 2018 and 19 also, so it's a 2-year contract, which gives us time with the legislation coming in to do that. The only thing that's changed from the past is anything that the state would require as new law there. And I do want to thank Tara Boyer and our department who worked very hard on this and sponsorship. And then John Lutz is sitting out here. John and the folks at NDA, they do a fantastic job of providing services for our students. And so, John, we appreciate all the time and effort that you had. He's got a board meeting at 8, so he'll carry the contract home, put it in a safe location tonight, and take it to his board tomorrow morning. So, questions?
Motion for superintendent recommendations A through D. Thanks, Beverly.
Second.
Thank you, Mike.
I wanted to check, Doug, the agenda we've got's got 4 retirements and resignations. Is there someone we need to add on there? Or would you give us that? Just to make sure we've got everybody.
I have 5. Did you have?
It's only 4. One of them rescinded their resignation.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
sorry.
Yeah, you don't have Brenda?
No.
Okay, that's the one that's
Okay.
been rescinded.
That's the one that rescinded.
That's the one that
Yes.
rescinded her resignation.
And by law, they have they still have time to come in and pull it. Anybody would until you vote on it. So, yes. Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
So there's a motion and a second. Any more questions, discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Motion carries.
The board, education needs to approve.
Yes, approval of the meal rate or increase, recommended Board of Education approve food service rate increase of 10 cents for fiscal year 2017-18. That's all this year, we're already in effect, we just didn't have it on there. And I would point out that I know Julio, myself, and I know the board would not do this unless it was required by law that we do, because of the money we take in from the federal government. We're required to increase that, and it's an increase of a minimum amount that we can do. So that went into effect at the beginning of the school year.
In addition to that, it's on a yearly basis, the federal school program does recalculate in order for us to be eligible for reimbursement. They come up with an increased dollar rate that we have to pay in order for us to continue to receive those reimbursements, and they're substantially high for our district. So this is part of that regulation that they have in place.
What is the numbers?
We're going from $2.65 per plate to $2.75.
Okay. And how many of our students are on free or free and reduced?
62%.
62%?
In that neighborhood.
Okay.
We serve about 4,000 breakfasts and
Yeah.
just under that in lunches a day
Okay.
for students who.
Just as a shout out to Todd and his staff, if I'm understanding right, we are one of the few school districts around that are in this predicament, if you want to call it a predicament, because most districts end up subsidizing their food service through their general fund. We're raising it because the feds are telling us we have to.
And we operate in the black. So appreciate that. Shout out to Mark and Todd and that whole, wonderful group of folks that work in our cafeteria that work very hard, provide a good lunch, and still operate, from an efficient financial. So it's great.
Red, white, and blue parfaits on Veterans Day. I thought that was extra special. It's taking money out of my son's pocket, but that's okay. We do need motions to vote on that, I believe.
Yes.
So
Thank you, Tom. And Warren seconds. So just a reminder that this is something we have to do, not something we want to do. All right? Call
Mr. Blind.
yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Mr. Blowers.
Yes.
Ms. Nagin.
Yes.
Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Board discussion. Mr. Blind.
Trade seats with him someday, so I have to start. Just a reminder that winter activities are starting. Get out and support our kids, our athletes, our fine arts, the various people involved in things. One of Mike's comments there from the OSBA thing had me thinking, which sometimes takes a lot, that, we have outstanding teachers, we have a good, safe environment. We provide everything that a school district should provide, but we still have a lot of kids that are struggling. And in most cases, we'll see that those kids are bringing a lot into school that's causing their issues. It's amazing, and I think Warren still is able to get to the graduation committee meetings. We have dozens of social service agencies and organizations coming into the schools trying to help these kids. We have a lot of programs through the schools to help them, but they just don't have enough people. So this week, as we're all giving thanks for everything we've got, think about what you could do to help these kids. They're victims of their circumstances. They didn't ask to be in them. And even if it's an hour or two a week, there's so many people could do to help our kids. Give them a chance, and you'll feel better about it. So that'll pass.
Here. I agree with everything, Tom, thank you. I'm kind of in one mode tonight, and there's so much we can talk about. I mean, we could talk all night about all the good things about our students and our teachers and everything we accomplished, but I would like to, I like to say how proud I was last week, a week ago today, at the OSBA conference, having walked about, what was it, 6 or 7 or 8 blocks? Okay.
At least.
Yeah, I lost about 5 pounds before I got there. Okay, miles, okay. So uphill. Okay, both ways. But anyway, we had a nice walk from the conference center all the way down to Bricker and Eckler, our attorneys at law building, and I left that room. I don't think I know of any school district that does what we do, and I don't. And to sit in a room where there was a class that was geared for our school district with all of our administrators in there and supervisors, and it was geared to our needs, and I learned so much. I wish I could have stayed longer. But I want to thank you, all of you, for your professionalism and leadership, Mr. Yu. I mean, you know, it was a wonderful feeling. So I just want to tell you, I really appreciated being part of that, and the food was good too. Food was very good. Now we're getting to it, right? Yeah. Okay. So thank you again. I just wanted a shout out to our administration. Okay, thank you.
Glad you could come.
Mr. Willard. Yeah, well, I do have something to say today. I want to congratulate Mike and Bev on the election. Serving with you all for a few years. It's great to have you back on board. We can move on with our business.
Thank you, Warren. I'm happy to be back for another 4 more years. Pleased that we're continuing our sponsorship of Newark Digital Academy. Pleased that we're getting some of the responses from the state that we're hoping to get in that area. So this is really great. I appreciate everything Newark Digital Academy does, John. So thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for your partnership, and I'm just pleased that we get to continue being a sponsor of Newark Digital Academy and all the great things they do. A reminder, Tom kind of touched on it, there are a ton of activities in the month of December. So plenty to do. There's not a night that there's not a fundraiser at a restaurant or a concert at one of our buildings. So check the website. If you're looking for something to do, look on the website real quick and you'll find at least 2 or 3 things to do.
I want to congratulate Mr. Blowers and Ms. Nickton for winning the elections this time, and I'm looking forward to continue working with you and get to know you even more over the next 4 years and continue the progress that you have been done in the past. In addition, I would like to wish you a great holiday this coming Thursday with your loved ones, which I too will be enjoying. Several of my family members at my home, and I'm looking forward to spend some time with family members.
Tell a little bit about how long's it been?
Oh, over the last 35 years that I live in this country, this is the second time I'm going to get together, all brothers and my mother. So my mother is going to be a very happy camper.
Coming from Los Angeles?
My mother's coming from California with my brother and his wife, and my brother lives in Georgia, is coming bringing his son with him, and my brother lives here on Hilliard. So it's going to be a good time to be together again once again.
That's great. Okay. You're kind of just carrying on what Tom talked about. February 8th is a big day in our district for our students and our staff, where Tom, you talked about partnering with social agencies and meet the needs of our students, not just our students, our families and the community that our SEEDS group and many others in the district have taken on. So February 8th, we've dedicated to bringing programs in for our students that deal with social issues and trauma and coping things, and you are invited, so more on that. But we are fortunate, Tom mentioned it, we're so fortunate here to have the social agencies that we have in partnership, and not just those folks, but also the businesses in Newark and Licking County. So that'll be a good day for us. And Mike, we were glad to have you. Legal update and a lot of, you're probably right. And I tried to not to tell some. I told some other folks what we were doing in our schools. They're saying, hey, we need to. No, don't do that. Don't take that away from us. But most folks down here on Monday, they try to get into a restaurant and it takes 2 hours. And so we realized a few years ago, we'll just go over to Bricker and Eckler, walk downtown, and they bring lunch in, and we talk about issues with that we're having currently dealing with in our district. So glad to have you, and we'll be doing. I think we put our reservation in for next year already. So. It is a thankful time, the month of February, and thankful for a lot of things, and congratulations to Mike and Bev, and I say this all the time, being a school board member is the hardest job in any community, but thank goodness we have people step up to be good leaders and run for the right reason. I think you can take that as a vote of confidence, the folks that came out and said, yeah, we think you're doing a good job, and you deserve to be on there. So thankful for our board leadership in the district and our teachers and our groups that we talked about before. But man, I tell people all the time, we have 6,300 students in our district. Man, do we have some good kids, good leaders. And one right behind that camera right now. It's good to see old Superman, a freshman there, over there filming and working and he's standing behind him as one of our good leaders. It's a staff member. Matt, we appreciate the time and effort you put in here. But just thankful. Bev talked about, I put the basketball games in my schedule last night, boys and girls. And I did look through there. I was like, 1 week, 2, every night something's going on in our district. So it is a good time. It's a great time to be a Cat, because whether it be a music program or a ball game, you're going to see some tremendous leaders and kids putting out great effort and make you proud to be a Cat. So happy holidays to all, and enjoy the holiday season.
Very good, very good. Again, it is a great time to be a Cat. There's a lot of things going on. Fall sports have wrapped up, and a wonderful season for a lot of our teams, and moving in, they're kind of starting to enter that winter season. Tomorrow night's foundation game. The girls and the boys will be playing Westerville North, I believe. It is a fundraiser for
Lions Club.
Lions Club. That's what I thought, but hey, I'm a Gahanna guy, so I didn't want to say Lions Club without somebody else's approval. Just trying to keep it real. Went Friday night to the play. Ray Bradbury play. So hats off to our students, because if you don't know, he's a bit of an eclectic guy, and it's a hard piece of work, and they really did a nice job. It was neat to see, and they had a blast. You could tell as we come out, they're all there waiting. Probably 3.5 million people, something like that there that night, and but they were waiting for the crowd to come out, and they were just really excited. It was great to see that, and then spend a little time at some Lego robot tournament. And if you've never been to a Lego robot tournament, you haven't lived yet. It is big time excitement. The idea that those kids are jumping around and cheering and all that stuff because their robot, picked up a hoop. It is just, but it's really cool, and the stuff they have to do to make that happen. Our high school kids are also involved in that, and there's just a lot of great stuff going on. I think we're going to try to get that down into our elementary schools as well, so it's going to be neat stuff for them. I'm trying to catch all my stuff. Jay Hottinger, he's put in some yeoman work, and a lot of times we live in a day where it seems like all the elected officials, all they really want to do is try to stay elected. But he's done some really great work with Newark Digital Academy, and he needs some props because he is putting the time and pushing. Is there someone else?
Scott Ryan.
Scott Ryan.
Scott Ryan.
Both those guys have just really worked hard to try to keep that relationship alive. It's one of those things where it's a great relationship between the school and the NBA, and the state just kind of universally made a decision and didn't take some of those circumstances and special relationships into account. And so appreciate those guys really going to bat for us. Haven't had a vote yet, but it's coming, right?
It's out of the Senate to the House after Thanksgiving, and hopefully the governor signs
Very
the
good.
bill before the end of November, is what the hope is.
I never want to miss saying thanks for the gifts. For Park National, what a wonderful hometown organization, and I don't want to slide into the others because we've got some great businesses in our town. But for them to support heritage like that is awesome. And the other gifts that came in for the hearing, special needs hearing, what wonderful stuff. And again, what a great town we live in. And so for all of you out there, just and be thankful because I can tell you from the folks up here, we are. We're blessed to be in the community we are. Great teachers, great leaders, great students. There's just so many wonderful kids in our district. And so we're blessed by all those things. All that said, I'm going to not adjourn. We are going to ask for an executive session to discuss some personnel and also some board administrative matters. There'll be no business to follow for that, but if I could get a motion for executive session. First, Mike and Bev. Call the roll.
Mr. Blevins?
Yes.
Ms. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
We are in executive session.
A brief executive session.
Brief.
That's what I was saying.